You know what I realized about the whole Star Wars franchise? There's not two kinds of fans, there's three kinds of fans. And you all know what? We're gonna go over all three of them today.
I pledge myself to your teachings.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and here today I am going to talk about the three different kinds of fans in the fan base franchise, or however you want to say it. It's weird because in most franchises, there's two kinds of fans. There's fans who are casual, and then there's fans who are like really heartily devoted to it, and you know, both fan bases can be critical and not critical, and you know, like I said, there's just two kinds of fans in that, like most franchises. But for some reason, in the Star Wars franchise, there's three, and those three are the ones I just said. You know, the casual fans, the hardcore fans, and the fans that just exist. And the reason why I say that is because there really is. And there's also, you have to think about there's also three kinds of different kind of fans from where generation you grew up. You got the generation that grew up with the trilogy, the original trilogy, you know, the ones who are probably like our parents or grandparents, the ones who were around back in the 70s. And then you have the fan group who grew up on the prequels. I'm part of that one since I was born in 1991. And then you have the new fan base from the sequel trilogy. And the reason why I want to talk about it is because what I realized when I saw Rise of Skywalker, before I went to go see it, I thought that there was, you know, there's a lot of anger and resentment and, you know, passionate fans. I will not deny that. We have very passionate fans in the franchise. But we have people who just like go into the movie and they enjoy it, and then you have people who have to like criticize it, every little piece. If it's not perfect, then they don't like it. If it's too similar, they don't like it. If it's too different, they don't like it. You have those kind of fans as well. And then you have fans who are kind of like me, who just, it's a Star Wars movie, I'm gonna love it. And then, you know, but then when I went to go see Rise of Skywalker, I realized something when I went to go see it with my dad. My dad is, he will be 66 come July. So my dad was about 20, almost 23 when New Hope came out, or at the time it was just Star Wars. So I'll just say when Star Wars 1977 came out. So he was like almost 23 when he went to go see that. Okay, so he was in his 20s, you know, awesome. He tells me stories on when he first saw it. He went to go see it with his twin brother, who isn't really into the Star Wars franchise. He's kind of like a hater on it. And it's funny because like they're twins, and one loves the franchise and one just makes fun of it. So it's kind of funny. But they're like two different people. It's crazy. But they went to go see it in 1977. And they thought it was like the best movie, you know, not him, but like my dad thought it was one of the best movies he's ever seen. Because you got to think about it, in the 70s we didn't have a lot of technology, so it was like mind blowing. And then he saw Empire Strikes Back, and then, you know, he fell in love with that one. And then my brother's first movie, because he was born in 1982, and my mom was pregnant with my oldest sister at the time in 1983. My brother's first movie was Return of the Jedi, and my dad begged and pleaded for my mom to take him to go see Return of the Jedi. So my dad has seen every single Star Wars movie in theaters. And this man, and I am going to say this, he loves all of them but Solo. And I was thinking, okay, you know, my dad is a very open-minded guy, you know, he just loves Star Wars, so whatever you give him Star Wars, he's gonna eat it like, you know, candy. Like, he loves Star Wars. And I was thinking, well, you know, my dad's a very, like, peaceful kind of guy. He doesn't like to get in the, you know, into, like, the craziness of it all, and, you know, and I know that there's passionate Star Wars fans out there who did grow up with their trilogy, whether they were kids or, you know, young adults or teenagers or whatever. There are fans out there who are kind of like that, but I've noticed something. When I went to go see it for a third time, because I saw it 3 times. I saw one with my dad, one with my fiance, and then we went to go see it again with my future mother-in-law. And my future mother-in-law is, she is 5 years younger than my dad. So she was about like, she was like a teenager when it came out. She was born in '59, and so she was like almost 18, or yeah, she was like 17 and a half, because her birthday's in October. But so she was like 17 and a half when she went to go see the first one. So she saw all the movies in theaters as well. So I took note of this, and I was like, okay, cool, like I've seen Star Wars with somebody else who has seen every single Star Wars movie in the theater, and I want to see what her thoughts on this is. And her thoughts were the exact same as my dad's. They both loved Rise of Skywalker. And I'm sitting there like wondering, I'm like, dang, maybe it's not all the original trilogy people who, kind of like, they kind of bash it, or, and there are some out there saying that the prequels suck, and then they don't like the sequel trilogy, and they're, they're in their 60s, and in their 50s, and in the 40s, I understand that. But when I was talking to my mother-in-law, and I was talking, of course I have these conversations with my dad all the time, and I'm an observer. I like to observe things. I like to get information. I like to, just learn. I love learning new things. So I asked them both the same questions, and they both said, Star Wars is magical. It doesn't matter what's wrong or what's right with it. The fact that it has been 43, it's only almost 43 years since we got the first one baffles me. And we're still getting Star Wars material after 43 years. You know how cool that is? That, I don't know about any other franchise, but I think this is the longest running franchise. And it's still relevant almost 50 years later, guys. It is still very relevant. And I asked her, because, like I said, my dad is very open-minded. He loves Star Wars no matter what it is. Like, he will watch it and eat it like candy. He loves it. He's like me. He loves Star Wars. I mean, we went to go see Phantom Menace when I was 7, almost 8, and he was like, I can't believe, he's like, oh yeah, it's been like, something years since we got New Hope, and here we are with a new trilogy. And my dad likes the prequel trilogies. He loves them. And I think it might be the fact that, like, he was happy that, like, his youngest got to experience how he felt when he was a young adult. And I get to experience it as a child. And just seeing a new Star Wars movie in theaters, and it's like all these, like, I know it has a lot of CGI, and like, they don't age well now, but like, at the time, it's like, wow, like, this is amazing. And that's the thing about it, it's like, I realized, and then I was like, maybe it's just my dad. And then I talked to my future mother-in-law, and she told me the same thing. They're both big Luke fans, okay? Like, they love Luke Skywalker, okay? And before we even saw, before Rise of Skywalker even started, I started talking to her, because, like, my fiance is like, oh my god, you guys are just nerds. But, because she's kind of like, she's kind of getting into, like, the fandom, but before she was kind of like a really casual Star Wars fan. But I was talking to her, and she literally told me that she's like, oh, I watched Last Jedi before I came here, and it felt refreshing to hear somebody not drag that movie down. I will admit that movie has a lot of issues, but to hear somebody who absolutely adores Luke Skywalker be excited about saying that she just watched Last Jedi was remarkable, and I loved it. I was like, that is so cool to hear that. And pretty much, she started crying during Rise of Skywalker when, like, Ben was talking to Han, and when Luke showed up to help Rey when he caught the lightsaber, it's like, don't throw your lightsaber, don't throw a Jedi's weapon like that. And she got so emotional when it came to Luke, because that's her favorite character. And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, maybe it's not all fans who grew up on this that are, like, going in to hate it. And I feel like it's more so the people who were born in the 80s, maybe the late 70s, who kind of drag the prequels and the new ones, and that's where I'm getting at. When I see people complain, it's usually people who were born in the 70s, who were just kids when the first one came out, and then they hated the prequels, you know, because they weren't like the trilogy, and then they don't like the sequel trilogy because it's too... Force Awakens is too close to New Hope, and Last Jedi was an abomination, and Rise of Skywalker was crap, and, like, I feel like the reason why I say those three kind of fans is, like, you got the fans who go into the movie just saying, this is Star Wars, I'm gonna love it no matter what. That's the kind of fan I am. I'm excited to just see Star Wars on the big screen and doing Star Wars material. Excited. And then you got the fans who just want to criticize every little move. And there's nothing wrong with it. You can criticize all you want. That is your right. But there's no, and then there's no, like, excuse to attack somebody else because they don't agree what you agree with. Like, my ranking for the entire franchise is, I would say it's controversial, but to me, it's just more so, like, nostalgia and how I grew up. Is the reason why my list is like that, and I'm gonna rate them too, so you guys don't know. But, and then you got the fans who were teenagers and young adults, and like my dad and my mother-in-law, like, they do not care. They just are just so excited that we're still getting movies in the theater. That's all they care about. Like, the fact that we're still getting them, we should be grateful. And it opened a new lens for me, saying that, like, not all original fans hate the new stuff. Not all of them hate the prequels. Not all of them hate the sequel trilogy. Some of them actually like them, and that makes me very hopeful. It's like, maybe I'm the way I am, who just, like, I'm just excited to get a Star Wars movie because it's freaking Star Wars, because of how my dad how I grew up with my dad with the franchise. He taught me that, like, your opinion is your opinion, but don't let anybody bring you down for it. Because you want to stay out of the hate. Because my dad, he doesn't like, you know, the hatred and stuff, but he knows about it. He knows that this is one of the most toxic communities that he's ever seen. And I will agree. I'm in a lot of, like, I'm into horror, I'm into, like, sci-fi, I'm into, like, supernatural kind of stuff, and I'm into, like, you know, I like Harry Potter. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan as well. Like, there's toxicity in every single franchise and fandom base, but Star Wars is #1 because you have these people who are just so hard-headed that if you don't agree with them, you're wrong and they're right. But the thing is like, no one's right and no one's wrong. It's called an opinion for a reason. And I like to say this one thing. It's like, no two people are going to have the same opinion. Everybody is their own visual person, and they're all going to feel different. And that's what I'm going to, you know, I'm always going to be that way, you know. So, with that being said, this is kind of short, I guess. But, yeah. What kind of fan do you guys like out? Like, if you don't like the prequels, or you don't like the sequel trilogy, or you don't like either one, you're just a trilogy fan, that's fine, that's cool. Awesome for you. The trilogy is awesome. I will not deny that the trilogy is the best of the three, you know, with 3 movies in it. You know, it is the best trilogy. The original trilogy is the best Star Wars trilogy. I will admit that till I am blue in the face. Because those movies age like fine wine. Those movies age so well. It is ridiculous how well they age. And I grew up with the prequels. I am one of the defender of the prequels, and I say that those did not age as well as the ones from the 70s and 80s. The original trilogy is like that fine wine that you get in the vineyard. You know what I mean? Like, that's been aged for, like, you know, years, and it's just so sweet and delicious. And like, and then the prequels are kind of like, you know, like a draft beer. Like, you like draft beers. I love draft beer. Like, that's how the prequels are. And like, obviously the sequel trilogy is like how it's like, you know, it's my, like, I like alcohol, so but like, the sequel trilogy is like a crisp ale. You know, like, I love them all, but there's something about that fine wine that just makes you like, when it hits your tongue, you just love it. And that's how the trilogy is. It's like something that's so magical. And there's another reason why behind it is because like it started this whole thing, and it was George Lucas's baby. And it's just, when I watch every documentary on it, and it's just, it makes me so happy. But the thing is, like, I refuse to go into a Star Wars movie with other people in my head. I will not allow that. I will be like, you know what? This is my opinion. I'm going to go in this with a fresh mind, and I'm just going to go watch it for my entertainment and how I feel about it and how I like it. And in all honesty, Rise of Skywalker was the best of the three. It did not deserve the Rotten Tomato score it did, because Last Jedi was not that good. And it got a higher one than freaking Rise of Skywalker. And Rise of Skywalker is like way better. Like it's way better. And Force Awakens was amazing. I will not lie, that it was an amazing movie. But I just really like Rise. I love the arcs of everybody in it, and except for one person that was from another video. But the only negative was Finn. I didn't like where they took his character, because that's in the other video, but if you know, like, I love Finn, and they just wasted him, unfortunately, and it makes me really upset. But anyways, besides that, I respect everybody's opinions. If you if you are a fan that goes into a movie to criticize it, like, good for you. Like, I just can't do it. I just find too much entertainment out of Star Wars that I just can't do that. Like, anything will make me like all excited. Like, I can't get upset with the Star Wars movie. I really can't. Like, everybody knows I don't like Solo. But, I don't hate it, but, like, I don't like Solo. But it's still better than some movies I've seen. Like, because the cinematography is gorgeous. Ryan Howard knows how to direct. That man knows how to direct. I will not deny that. And I love Emilia Clarke. She's amazing. Woody, I love him. You know, they got some good names up in that movie, but it's just not my favorite. I feel like it just wasn't necessary. That's probably why I didn't like it, but it still looked gorgeous. I will admit that. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. If you like what I offer, please like, comment, and subscribe. And we post videos every Monday and Friday. And, you know, with that being said, may the force be with you guys, and see you on Friday. Peace. Boom.